I'm making a retro, post-apocalyptic VR extraction shooter called Eclipse of Civilization. Here's what I've added so far. But before we start, I would recommend you to watch Devlog 0 for some context, as I won't be re-explaining the things I said in that video. The first thing I started working on was deciding on a Unity version. I originally went for Unity 6 with the XR Interaction Toolkit 3.0, the most recent version, but I came to the realization that learning material surrounding Unity 6 VR is virtually non-existent, so I decided on using Unity 2022, since that runs on the 2.0 version of the Unity XR Interaction Toolkit, which has way more learning material. After deciding on the Unity version I wanted to use, I started work on setting up and learning the Unity XR Toolkit. It took a bit of time, but within about a day and a half I got a basic VR play area set up and had a good handling of how everything worked. After doing that, I started working on making a simple placeholder bunker, which I quickly set up. Whenever I finished doing that, I quickly modeled a kiosk and brought it into Unity. Once I finished modeling the kiosk, I imported some hands I had already previously modeled into the game. I then proceeded to waste 20 minutes trying to set up the first gun, but it kept falling through the floor. I had no idea why, until I realized that I never gave it a box collider. Whenever I realized that, I was actually able to set up the gun's basic collisions. Once the gun actually collided with stuff, I added the XR Grab interactable component to make it a grabbable object. After doing that, I decided to get some work done on the mag system. The first gun being implemented is an energy gun. Now I just need to actually code it. So I started using my professional skills to ask ChatGPT how to make a magazine system. Surprisingly, it mostly worked. The only thing I really didn't know how to do was how to change the transform on the mag to attach it to the gun. So after I did that, I actually started to work on the first type of mag, the battery. I completely forgot to explain this in Devlog 0, but the energy guns actually function differently from normal guns in the way they store ammo. Normal guns use mags. Energy guns have an energy capacity that you have to charge with a battery. All you do is put the battery into the gun's battery slot, and it charges until either the capacity is full or the battery is empty. The battery has pros and cons. The pros are that you don't have to prime the gun, nor do you have to buy ammo. Only recharge the battery at your base after use. The cons are that the battery takes time to charge each bullet into the gun, depending on the size of the battery. Usually lower capacity batteries will take a short time, but some of the bigger storage batteries will take upwards of 1.5 seconds to charge each bullet. That's only for like big mags, because you don't want it to be too bad. After doing that, I made a bunch of scripts to define the different stats of different items. There's one called Sellable module that defines the sell and buying price along with tier of item, and the weapon module, which I reworked like 3 times, that defines all the stats of the guns. And then also the magazine module, which obviously defines what the magazines do. The game is coded modularly like this, so multiple instances of the same item can exist at one time. There was an issue I originally had where pistols would share ammo, so you would charge one and the other one could shoot, but I was able to fix it without much hassle. After having all of that set up, I added a shooting mechanic. It works pretty simply by just using raycasts, though I eventually will add things like bullet fall off so it doesn't just shoot straight. I added some testing particles once I finished making the gun, just so you know where it hits. After I did that, I made a system for damaging enemies. It basically just works by taking a public variable called damage that I put inside of the gun, and whenever the raycast touches the enemy, it reduces the health by the amount of the damage variable. Once I set all of that up, I got working on the actual floor plan for the home base. It's not a bunker, unlike most extraction shooters. It's actually going to be an open air base with walls surrounding it and roofs on certain parts. I made it like this because it would be easily expandable, along with I just like how it looks. I then spent a while trying to set up two-handed guns. But it sucked. It took so long. I finally, literally right before recording this audio, got a decent system working, but it still does need some work. After doing that, I spent way too long trying to animate hands, but every time I tried to animate them in Blender, the scale got messed up. I then proceeded to model some other hands that looked, interesting, that were finally animated because I realized that I can just animate them through Unity. Figuring that out was an absolute lifesaver, and I was finally able to get the hands looking decent after I remodeled them again, and also textured them this time. That's about all I was able to get done in the last week and a half or so, so make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to be notified the next time I upload.
I'm the Globglow Gabgala. I love books, and this basement is a true treasure trove.
I am the Globglow Gabgalab, the schwabble double wabble gabble flibber blabber blab. I'm full of schwibble.